think they smell like popcorn. The slaunch sauce smells like popcorn to me. And I like popcorn. And I think bass like popcorn too. What do you think they smell like, guys? I've asked everybody that for some reason. They always say something different. But tell me what you think Googan baits smell like. I think it smells like popcorn. But nevertheless, the bass like it. I like it. I'm good with all that. Now, we are here 2020, Lake Seminole. I'm fighting hard to miss a 2020 this year, but I got to win one for that to happen. Third tour stop of the season, and so far so good. Sitting in second for points, which is awesome, and everything's good. I'm fighting hard for Angler of the Year. We got a long ways to go. Got to get through a couple kind of difficult tournaments in my mind, like Grand Lake a little bit and Cherokee, which I've never been to before. So it's going to be an interesting rest of the season. So I'm so glad all of you following along. It gives me inspiration out there on the water. It keeps me focused knowing that you guys are loving what we're doing and giving you guys a little peek inside of tournament fishing. So thank you so much for all the support. And here, before we get any farther, hey, please subscribe to our channel, okay? Please subscribe to our channel. Check to see if you're subscribed, because I've been getting messages from a lot of people saying that their notification was turned off. I don't know if YouTube's going in there and cleaning out notifications or whatever's going on, but check it. Make sure that your notifications are turned on. Make sure that you're physically subscribed to the channel so you can keep up. And again, thank you very much. And share the videos. Here's how we grow, guys. By liking the video, by putting a comment in the video, and by sharing the video. And if you do all those things right there, our channel keeps growing, and it's awesome. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, real quick. This video is presented by Hydrowave and Bob's Machine Shop, okay? Been using Hydrowave for a lot of years, and Bob's Machine Shop jack plates. Couldn't say enough about them. The Hydrowave's great. It makes a little underwater speaker that's attached to my trolling motor that allows the sound to go down in the water, like bait fish, shad, bluegill, crawdads, all the different things that are going on. Here's the best way to sum it up. If you're in your backyard hanging out, or you're at your house and your neighbor down the street is barbecuing and you're not hungry, and all of a sudden you get a little whiff of that barbecue, you're like, man, I'm getting a little hungry. That's what a Hydrowave does. It just emits a sound in the water that gets those fish on point. Okay, so thank you, Teenage Marine, for making a great product, okay? It's a tool that I use a lot, and it's a tool that I used at Seminole, and I'm very, very confident it helped put extra fish in the boat. Bob's hydraulic jack plates, first of all, very, very good jack plate. It allows me to get on plane in shallower water. It helps me protect my investment, because anytime I'm getting on plane, especially at Seminole with all the stumps, I jack that plate all the way up, hit the Evinrude, get up on plane, bring the plate back down. It allows me to get on water, get on plane in water much shallower, and allows me to run a lot faster. So that's good stuff there. So thank you guys for being a big partner of mine and helping us keep us on the road doing what we do. So that's good. Marshall program is alive and well. Big deal. You guys, you need to check it out. You need to check it out, okay? Getting a lot of good response on people saying they love the Marshall program. $100, get to hang out with pros. That's a big deal. Take pictures, kind of help with the social media throughout the event. It's a lot of fun. Talk to a lot of people that are enjoying that. Also, speaking of deals, is World's Greatest Deals. Okay, it's an app for you guys that are FLW members or FLW tournament anglers. Download the app, sign up for it. It's totally free, and you're going to get discounts on all of your stuff related to where we're going to the tournaments, okay? So if we're going to Grand Lake, I can type it in, and I'm gonna get discounts at restaurants, fast food joints, oil changes, hotel rooms, all kind of cool stuff, and that is for FLW members. But let's talk about the tournament, okay? Here's the deal. It's always a much clearer picture, right, at the end when the tournament ends, because you know who won, you know who didn't do so good. I kind of know my whole skinny. Here is my take on the tournament. First of all, Seminole, full of stumps. It has basically two different types of water. You have your muddy water like in the Flint and in the Chattahoochee, and you have your super clear water in Spring Creek. Throughout practice, I kind of found fish in both clear and muddy, but my initial plan was to focus on finding some fish in that stained water where maybe there wasn't as much pressure. I knew that clear water in Spring Creek was going to draw a lot of boats in there. It's beautiful, beautiful hydrilla. There's sandbars, stumps, depressions, little drains, lots of fish, of course. And I knew that was going to draw a lot of boats in that area, but that area is going to get a lot of pressure, and in clear water, I felt like those fish would react to it in a negative way. I thought with that many boats idling through the stumps, fishing for 2 or 3 days over top of them, it might shut them down to some fashion, to some degree. And I wanted to find some fish in that staying water that I might be able to have to myself. And that's what I did. So the first couple of days of practice, I focused and found that. And I found some fish up in the clear water as well. So day one, you know, I found some sight fish, believe it or not. I think a lot of people thought that the cold weather that was coming in was going to knock those sight fish off the beds. And I went back and checked them on the last day of practice. And I was pleasantly surprised that there was a lot of fish still up on the beds in these little canals. And it was really weird. It was not like they were everywhere. It was just, I got really lucky and found one little backwater area that just had fish that were spawning. I don't know really why. The water temperature wasn't dropping that much in that particular spot, so that had a lot to do with it, obviously. And I thought to myself, you know, these are decent fish. I feel like I can come in here on day one, and I knew a lot of boats were going to find those fish. I saw a lot of boats in there practicing. Go in there on day one, catch what I can, and just kind of get it out of my system. And that'll give me an extra day to save my fish in the lake, where I don't have to beat them up for an extra day. So I ran in there first morning of the tournament, first boat in that little area, and went right back to the back where I had this fish that I thought was about a 5-pounder. And really, really cool. You know, it was cold. I had my snowmobile suit on, basically. There's fog on the water. I can't quite see the fish, but I finally kept enticing that fish, and she bit. And 5-pounder, first fish, awesome deal. It was really, really good deal. Matter of fact, here, take a look at this. Got her, dude.
Good deal, man.
5-pounder.
Whew. Thank you, Lord.
Wasn't that cool? That was really cool. That fish was very particular. I power pulled down. I was very, very still. Didn't do a lot of moving. Kind of kept my position on the boat and just made real quiet little pitches past the bed and kept working it down in there. And that fish bit, and I got her in the boat. And I finished at my limit sight fishing that day. Had probably 15-pound sight fishing. And it was really a lot of fun. And then I moved on to my chatterbait fish that afternoon and caught a couple more. Well, day two rolled around, and I knew that I don't need to go down to do the sight fishing. I knew that because there wasn't many left at that point. So I went straight to my chatterbait banks. And basically what I was throwing this chatterbait like this, a little 3/8 ounce chatterbait, green pumpkin, little swim bait trailer on the back of it. 15-pound, now this one has braid. I grabbed the wrong rod, but 15-pound P-line fluorocarbon, okay? That was key. 7.3 favorite rod. Okay, it's a Rush series, and this is probably my favorite rod so far. It's kind of a all-purpose, multi-purpose rod. I mean, I've sight fished with it at Toho, caught a couple big ones on it, you know, pitching around in the pads. Caught them on a chatterbait on it. It's a really good, versatile rod. I love it. I need to order some more. That's a 7.3 Rush favorite rod. I'm very, very happy with the quality that Favorite's putting out. I not only use the Rush series, I use the Balance series, the Phantom series as well. Good stuff, okay, good stuff. Now, on day two and day three, I had to mix it up a little bit with some different variations. The chatterbait, I kept going back and forth in this one area, and here's something that's a good tip for you. I kept going back and forth, and along with several other boats too, on this grass line, and I felt like the fish were seeing a lot of baits. They were seeing a lot of chatterbaits. There was a lot of guys throwing lipless crankbaits, so there was a lot of noise going on. Like the chatterbait vibrates and makes a lot of noise. Of course, the lipless crankbaits are flying by their heads, and it's making a lot of noise. So I felt like over time, it was going to slowly start shutting down that bite. I've seen it happen here on Okeechobee, so I wanted to go a little stealthy. I wanted to mix it up a little bit, so I picked up a swim jig. This is a little impact swim jig, 3/8 size, green pumpkin, little bluegill color. I put a trench hog in the back of it, bit the trench hog down. It's got the two little flaps hanging down, kind of a very subtle approach. I didn't put a crack and crawl in the back of it because I felt like the crack and crawl is going to be a little too much action. I wanted a little more subtle action. 12-pound line, and I threw this on a Lunkers series favorite rod, that 711 medium heavy. I love that rod. 12-pound P-line, tactical again, By the way, guys, that tactical is awesome. And in the month of April, coming up, they're going to have some really awesome specials going on for tactical. So you need to be paying attention. You need to go follow P-Line's page, and you'll see what's about to happen here coming up soon. But that was my swim jig. That counted really for probably 4 or 5 fish that I weighed in the tournament on a swim jig in those areas that were getting a little bit of pressure. Also caught a few fish throwing a Carolina rig on a bandito bug. And one of the coolest things that happened in that tournament was in practice. You know, you hear me talk about shaking fish off. And in practice, I went in this little place that had some mats, and I got a bite in practice, and I almost set the hook. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to set the hook, because it felt like a good one. And I thought, no, I'm going to shake it off. So I just kind of held it tight, let the bait go, and marked it, went on. I fished all the other mats in the area, no bites. So it was like literally the only bite I had was in this one mat in the back of this little shallow pocket. So that was a really cool deal. So here's what I did in the tournament, guys. I came back to that spot when I needed to fish, and I thought, you know, I'm driving by it anyways, let me run in there. I flipped this little black and blue bandito bug, 1.5 ounce weight, 65-pound P-line X-braid, pulled up the same mat, power pulled down, flipped it in there. And kind of in my mind, I'll be honest with you, I was thinking I'm not going to get bit. I mean, like it was like 4 days before that I got bit. I'm thinking, well, it was just a random bite. Pitched in that same mat in the same place, that bait went down. Donk. Yeah. 3.5 pounder. Unhook the fish, getting live well. Pitch in there again. Another one, like another 3.5 pounder. Matter of fact, here, check this out. This is pretty cool. Flipping at its best. I shook that fish off in practice, guys. I don't know if you remember in the practice video, but I shook that fish off 3 days ago, right there. I did. I shook that fish off 3 days ago. That was crazy, guys. I actually shook that fish off in practice. Exactly right there. That is so crazy. Maybe there's more in there. All right, hey, shaking off pays off, okay? So I'm gonna do that more. So remember that, if you're practicing for a tournament and you're fishing like a piece of structure, like a dock or a stump, a mat, something that 1 or 2 fish is gonna live in, don't catch them, shake them off, go back in the tournament. If you're out on a big giant grass flat where you're just chunking and winding and you catch a few fish, it's not as bad. But if you shake a fish off on some hard structure or a mat or a dock, a lot of times you can go back and catch them. So that was something that was really cool. Very glad I did that. Now, again, my overall plan was to fish the stained water, move gradually towards the clear water towards the end of the tournament. Now, when we got down to day 4, I was faced with a decision to either, you know, stay in the stained water and keep fishing, which I wasn't feeling it. I was catching smaller fish and not very many of them. So I kind of felt like that warming trend that we were getting. By the way, it was really, really cold day 1, and it kind of gradually got warmer. The water temperatures were really starting to rise. That I think the fish that I was on out there on that outside grass line, those fish were leaving, okay? They were kind of getting ready to pull up on the bank wherever, and they just kind of were not set up in the same little deal. So I started catching some smaller fish that last day, and that told me things are going away. Because in the tournament, the first couple days, there were good pre-spawn fish. So I decided, you know, I haven't been over the Florida side of the lake, so let's go. I love Florida, let's go. And so the Florida line cuts the lake in half, and that whole side over there, never been there before in my life. Matter of fact, guys, a lot of you might not know this. I've never fished a tournament on Lake Seminole. Even though it's in Florida, it's all the way in North Florida. So I'm not very familiar with the lake. But nevertheless, day 4, I run over to the Florida side, start trolling motor around at 100, and I start seeing fish, man, like one here, one there, 3 pounder, 3.5 pounder, 4 pounder, 3 pounder. And I'm kind of chipping away at it. Things are going good. I'm having fun. I'm fishing good. You know, I'm building some good weight, and all of a sudden, FLW film crew shows up. And I'm thinking, well, why are they here? You know, they only film the top 5. I'm not in the top 5 unless all of a sudden I'm in the top 5 now and things are getting squirrely. Maybe Brian's not catching them. Maybe Sheldon's not catching them. Maybe some of those guys aren't whacking on them as good. So I started thinking, well, maybe some weird stuff's going down, so let me just stick with it. So they filmed me the rest of the day, and I milled around in there, and I just never did find a really big one. This is the 2020. This is the breakdown. This is where I kind of talk about what I think I did right and what I did wrong. Here's what I did wrong. And I just made a bad call. My initial plan, fish muddy water, gradually move to the clean water because there'd be less pressure up on those flats. I think those fish would be more apt to bite, warming trend, etc. I went to the Florida side, caught a lot of fish, didn't catch any big ones. Terry Bolton went up on the flats in Spring Creek on the final day and caught almost 28 pounds, 27.5 pounds. Sight fishing. He said there were big fish swimming around on these sandbars. It was like one of the best days of fishing he's ever had. And I would have loved to have been part of that. I think the bigger fish were over on the Spring Creek side. Over there on the Florida side where I was, it was mostly, 3 to 3.5 pound fish. So I guess I messed up. I should have either just not gone to Florida and just went to the Spring Creek side and just did it over there because I know I could have caught them, or left the Florida side way earlier to spend the last couple hours of the day in Spring Creek on those sandbars, checking it out, trying to find 1 or 2 6, 7, 8 pound fish. I already had almost 16 pounds. Why not go over there and get 1 7-pounder or two big ones and all of a sudden busting mid-20s? So that's kind of where I messed up. I just didn't manage my time right. Once I had a decent limit, I should have just got out of there because I wasn't seeing the big ones. So lesson learned on that a little bit. The other thing is, for me on this tournament, is I probably should have investigated some of these areas a little bit harder and fished them a little more thorough. I pride myself on being versatile. I pride myself on keeping a lot of rods on the deck of the boat, moving around a lot, fishing the moment. But I never did find that magic spot, right? That spot you could power pole down or spot lock and just catch a big bag. And if you look at the leaderboard, the guys in the top 3 or 4, that's what they found. Brian Latimer obviously won the tournament. He had one good stretch of grass there, about a couple 100 yards long. It was just magnet for big ones. Sheldon Collins, he caught him on a little hump right out from where I was going back and forth on, down in that area of the lake. And he stayed there, I think, almost 4 days and almost won the tournament. Braxton, he had a magic school of fish in one of those depressions out in Spring Creek. And again, almost won the tournament by fishing basically one little area. So I never found that magic spot. And so I think I just need to investigate things a little more thoroughly and try to find those. But let me say this. I'm going to reverse it now. I would much rather be an instinctful fisherman, if that's even a word, okay, fish for my instincts, and just move around the lake and catch fish here and there based on the weather conditions, because that is going to serve me better in the long run over the course of the season. You're not going to be able to find magic spots on every tournament, right? Magic spots like those guys found, that's once a year type situation. That's magic. So I need to find a balance, right? I like the versatility. I like being able to fish free and fish my instincts and just going with what my gut says. But I also need to find just a little bit more of the juice, right? That little juice spot where I can just milk it for a little bit more. So that's really what I've learned on this one. So, it's been an awesome, awesome year so far. I'm looking forward to the next ones. But, guys, special for you. We're going to call Brian Latimer. That's right. I don't know what he's doing, but I want to see what he says. I want to see what he'll tell us. Maybe we'll learn something from listening to B-Lat. So let's give B-Lat a little phone call right now. Let's see if he'll answer on FaceTime right here.
Yo, dude.
What up, man?
What up, son?
What you doing?
Out here fishing. Tell him, hey, Jacob.
What up?
Fishing, filming, doing YouTube stuff.
What up?
That kind of stuff.
All right,
What
hey,
you up to?
I'm filming you right now in a 2020 video.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So everybody's
Okay.
looking at you right now, Mr. Z-Man.
Yeah, dude. I'm trying to catch one on camera, but now I'm doing FaceTime.
Oh, that's all right. Hey, the water looks really clear. Where are you? That's crazy looking.
I'm actually at Lanier right now.
I was about to say, that doesn't look like South Carolina.
No, it's pretty close. I mean, it's pretty close to Hartwell, but it's not Hartwell. This is Lanier.
Well, that's good, man. All right, so the 2020 videos, which I don't know if you've watched, it's where I break down my tournament and I talk about what I think I did wrong and what I did right. And you did everything right, dude. So proud of you, man. You won your first FLW Tour event, first of many, in my opinion. It was a groundbreaking win for you. What do you think? What do you think the biggest couple keys were to that victory? And what do you think something that you could have improved on, even though you won? What do you think you could have improved on in the tournament?
One thing I could have improved on. You know, one of the things that a lot of people are not talking about is the first day I caught my fish cranking. And, you know, that worked great on day one. Day two, I only caught one fish cranking. But for some reason, on day three, I still went cranking. If I could probably go back, I probably wouldn't have spent any time on that on day three and went straight out there and flipped all day.
Right.
You know, for days 3 and 4. Other than that, you know, I feel pretty good about decisions I made. You know, it's one of those things where the cards just kind of played to my hand. Everything just worked out perfect, man. I couldn't, there's not a whole lot I would change, but if I could go back, I would not have wasted 2 or 3 hours, you know, fishing in the river trying to crank. Because, you know, 2 hours or so, that's 2 hours I could be chasing like a 5 or 6 pounder. Right.
Yeah, it could have been a lot less stressful of an event for you if you'd have had that extra time on the flats, you know, out there fishing in that grass for sure. What do you think the key was to that area? I mean, as far as its location, there was a lot of grass out there, but what do you think the key was to that area?
You know, I didn't find out what the key was until the second day of the tournament. The main reason was because the water was muddy, and then it started to clear up, and I could actually see what I was fishing. And once it cleared up, you could see these little, I kept calling them heads of milfoil, coontail, some type of different grass. That's all I know is it was different. That was the key. And in this one little corner, it was extra thick. In these little patches, you know, the size of your boat, the size of 2 or 3 boats put together. And once I started keying on those, I started catching.
Yeah.
Because I think you remember in practice, I told you, I was like, you know, I got this deal. I caught one fish on that was a good one there, but I never caught another one there in practice.
Right.
And I was like, man, it's just blind flipping. I don't think you can do that all day. And do well. But that's because the water was dirty. Once it cleared up, it started to make sense.
You know, and it's funny you say that, you know, and here's what I think. You know, when I asked you, what do you think you could have improved on? I remember that conversation I had with you where you said, man, you know, I've caught a couple fish out here in this grass flat, and they've been good ones. And I asked you, I said, is there an edge? Is there holes? And you're like, nah, man, it's just grass everywhere. And I thought to myself, like, there's got to be, in my mind, when you said that, I said, there's got to be a reason that they're in those spots. That, you know, there's got to be a reason. So I obviously didn't go out there and investigate it, but maybe, I guess my point back to you is, maybe what you could have done better is when you ever catch fish what you think is random, it's never random. There's a reason, and figure it out. If you'd have figured out that it was milfoil clumps in practice, then you could have really spun out on them. You know what I mean? You know, because it took you a couple days to figure that out as the water cleared. So I guess maybe next time you think it's random, really investigate it more to figure out really it's not random. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know?
Exactly. It was definitely a pattern to it. Most of the time we're looking for a depth change when we're fishing grass. We're looking for something like that, but there was no depth change at all. Yeah. It was only just the thickness of the grass was the only change. They always relate to change. That's why you're asking about an edge or something like that. I didn't have an edge. It was the only thing that was different was the thickness of the grass.
Well, you did great, dude. I couldn't be more proud of you, man. It was awesome. I know we're excited about Grand Lake, and I'll let you get back to it, man. I just wanted to bring you in on the 2020, let all my fans see you one more time. They've been loving seeing you on the channel this week with all the videos, and we've got more stuff coming, so good stuff.
I appreciate all the love from everybody. I really underestimated the love you guys had for me, and I really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody that's tuned in, all the texts, the messages, the comments, and everything. I wish I had time to respond to them, but thank you. Thank you. I love you. I love you, and you.
All right, bro. Have fun, man. I'll see you in a few days.
We got to go.
We got to go, man. We'll see you.
We got to go. We'll see you.
Bye. All right. There we go. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I tell you, again, awesome job, B-Lat, dude. You did good. You know, again, I think I just didn't find that little wad. I didn't find that special little thing, you know, and maybe maybe I need to investigate things a little more thoroughly when I find fish in practice, instead of maybe fishing a little too fast. I think I've found myself probably getting a few bites and then moving on, getting a few bites and moving on, and maybe not investigating things quite as deep or thorough as I should. Because that guy Sheldon, he almost won the tournament. He caught him probably 300 yards from me on a grass hump. Sat there for 4 days, basically. So we're off to Grand Lake next. I am going to be very honest with you guys. I'm super nervous about that tournament, and here's why. It's in Oklahoma. It's far, far from here. It's kind of high water, cold water, and I just don't know much about Grand. I just don't. So I'm going to have to really focus in on these practice days at Grand, really pay attention to every little thing that is presented my way, and catch them. I got to get through Grand, and then we go off to Cherokee up in Tennessee. But hey, this little tool right here, live target. David Walker made this bait right here. It's called the Tennessee Craw. It's going to be a pretty cool little tool that I'm going to be using at Grand. You know, they talk about water temperatures being 40s, mid 40s. Anytime the water temperature is in the mid 40s on a Highland reservoir, red and orange is the color. And that little dude right there, listen to it. Nice, kind of a deep sound. Very good little crankbait. I'll be able to cover a lot of water with this thing and hopefully catch a lot of good fish. So good job, David Walker, on designing a pretty cool bait by Live Target. And this is exclusive at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. So run in there and check them out. It's a legit crankbait. And here's how I know. I can tell by the sound right there. Good stuff. So guys, thanks for hanging out. I don't know if I forgot anything, but I had a good time hanging out with you guys. And we will see you later. Off to Grand. Bam!